Alrighty, welcome to the Illuminati broadcast. I'm your host, David Moore. It is 6:41. Let's check in the book to see what hour it is, what planet is ruling over this hour, so we can see what the last video was about, and if it had anything to do with that hour. See if there's like some experimental magic we could do with it. Alright, 6:41 on a Friday would be Mars. Hmm. Okay, the next one is the sun. At 7, it's going to be the sun. So in a couple, like 20 minutes, it'll be the sun's hour. So, okay, if it was the hour of Mars in the last one, we talked a lot about the battle mechanics, and there was a lot about Aries that I put information on. So, what the next one is the sun. So, yeah, that would still be Mars because the sun is Mars. Um, let's talk about like the geography of how the world works. All right, so in ancient astrology and ancient like ideas of how the Key of Solomon works, you have this idea that the Earth. A lot of people say the Earth is flat, and then a lot of people say the Earth is round. But what if it's both? What if it's what if it's like it had? What if we're inside of the ball? What if we're not on the outside of it? What if we're on the inside of the Earth? Um, and you can kind of see that in like a couple diagrams. So let's see. You have these two images, and that's the brass vessel. That's what the Solomon seals the genie in. Let's think of as Solomon, the story of King Solomon, as like how did God create the universe and the earth? I think that's what that is. God would be Solomon because Solomon's all wise and all powerful. That's what God is. All right. So if God created the earth and the universe, this is probably what it looks like. We're inside this orb, and if you could see where the band is, like we would be facing on the inside of that. So the North Pole would be the top of that, the South Pole would be the bottom of that orb. And even in this diagram on the left or right, whatever, the Saturn one with the Mars, you can see the shape of the Earth a little bit. Um, there's this little fly flying around, this gnat, this midge fly. I'm gonna catch him and I'm gonna use this to destroy him. So if you see me using this, that's what I'm doing. Alright, I just gotta wait for them because they be flying around. They don't want to get hit by the racket. Alright, yeah, in that picture, in that seal, in that image, you can see that the sun is up here, it's sending its rays down, and there's like this cup. And then on one side is Mars, and it's pointing that way, south. And then you have Saturn, which is pointing towards the north because that's when the sun goes down in the north. So in the east, the sun rises and it hits all those south quarters, and then it sets in the west. And then once the north hits, that's basically Saturn, Mercury, and that's why you get Capricorn and Saturn together. Um, but also Capricorn is under Mercury. So we have this map of the universe, the Earth, the world, and the planets aren't like they're not these planets what they show on NASA. That's not how the universe works. That's not how the world works. Like there's this space between us and the sun, but let's put a ball right here. Let's draw a little ball right here, and we're right here in Los Angeles. And this is America, this is South America, this is the South Pole, this is the North Pole, and if you go along the orb, you'll hit like England, and then Russia, Japan, whatever, and then make your way back here. So we're inside of the dome. We're on the inside. So if you go up, you're going up towards these mountains, and you hit the North Pole. If you go down, you hit the South Pole, and the oceans all along it. So it's just, we're not flat, we're like curved on the inside of a ball, and the sun's rotating in the center, hitting the North Pole and the South Pole. And while it's rotating and different phases of the moon, it reflects off the North and the South Pole and creates this reflection of the moon. And when you look at it through a telescope, you can see like little rocks, but they're just like parts of the North and South Pole. Maybe, I don't know. That part's kind of interesting, but let's just focus on that idea without diving too deep into details, and we can kind of like bounce off of those ideas. So you have this orb, and when you go south, you're going down this curve, and when you're going north, you're going up that curve. And then if you were to go west, you would go around it, and east, and then you're inside of the ball. So when you're doing the demonology, you're seeing the sun go around inside the center of the earth, and it's hitting you, and then it's going over this horizon all the way through to the next side, and it's changing because of all the mountains and all the glacier. There must be some kind of, I don't want to say it's a pull, but some kind of pressure that is like pushing the sun. Like there must be some pressure that it keeps pushing against the humans and the earth, and it pushes it up like some kind of oxygen, some kind of, you know how they're like, oh well, the carbon monoxide's moving, going out towards the universe. Yeah, it's going towards the sun. That's its job. um and the more that there is going on the earth, the more it's going to keep pushing and getting hotter and warmer and giving that sun more energy. um yeah, so there's just this weird magical idea of the earth being on the inside. So if you ever heard of Agartha, we are inside of Agartha and we don't even know it. All right. And when people go to space or whatever, they're like they have to like kind of go up into that space energy, but I guess when they're going up, they kind of curve and go hit back down because of gravity. Um, yeah, so maybe there's some experiments that we need to figure out or do, or maybe there's no way to get to the center because there's so much space. Um, or maybe it's more simple than we think, and we don't even know it. Maybe there's like some kind of like way to make it there, or maybe it's so perfectly in the center of the that sphere, and the sun's just rotating in it. Like maybe it's impossible to get to. But let's just put that out there. That's just how the idea of this universe works. Um, so yeah, you're not gonna see them like that little thing try to bite me. Oh, there's. You'll know I catch it when it zaps. Sometimes they'll get stuck in here too. Oh, there he is. Got him. Yep, there's gonna be more. There's always more. Oh, there is another one. See, I'm telling you, we be catching these damn midge flies. That thing works really good. I'll buy my own. Alright, so, yeah, now we have this idea of how the universe looks and how that diagram kind of fits in there. So we would be like in the womb of the earth. Alright, so that's just one little, conspiracy theory that I don't think anybody's really thought of. Um, but we could, go more. And you know what I think? Honestly, like the stars and the stars are probably just like reflections of the sun that is just passing through. So like let's say there was like a forest fire, it leaves behind like a trail of embers. I think that's what the stars are. Just leaving little spots that are like permanently there, like scars in the sky that have always been there because the sun just always is rotating and it just burns that little trail that's up there. And it probably moves around because, it probably moves with him. I don't know. There's probably like an ocean up there. Who knows? All right. And it wouldn't literally be above us, probably. Well, maybe yeah, but if we're inside this dome, we're right here, and the sun's in the middle. So yeah, I guess it would be above us, or it would be like in front of us. I don't know. Anyways, so let's switch the subject. Today's Friday. Welcome to the Illuminati broadcast. My name is David Moore. I'm your host. I'm 36 years old. I'm a Gemini. I'm a witch. I'm a sorcerer. I love to practice magic. I think it's so fun. I love to do spiritual warfare. I like to fight against the Illuminati and become the Illuminati king and the king of the earth. I'm the demon lord, so that means I use all my magic to win and battle and defeat other spiritualists. Um, let's see what we can do. Alright, so there's this follower archon idea. In Shin Megami Tensei, you have these energies. So you have like a demon that's really high up there. So he starts off as a small demon, he works his way up to the top. Um, and some will be like about aggression, some will be about, retribution, some will be about living a life of freedom, or some will be about all control. And you have all these other demons following them, doing whatever they want. And then all the way at the bottom, you have these mannequins, and they do whatever the demons tell them, and they're afraid. They listen to them. They get hunted down. They're just afraid. They like live their lives like scared. They're always shaking. They're just basically mud dolls. So like golems that are just like always shaking, just afraid, always trying to just go with the flow kind of thing and hide. And that's kind of how society is. You have all the normal people, And but I feel like they've evolved in a way where now they have cell phones, they have cars, they have money. They're getting way up there, and they don't need um they have their god set. They're like, all right, I have my god, and I don't need to look for another god. I don't need to look for somebody else to follow. They have everything set already, and Aphrodite is supposed to be their true god. Aphrodite is all these gods have a mortal form that they choose on the earth. So they're born and they're raised and they live their lives, but they live as mortals do. They can do like extraordinary things, but um it's not very often that you see it. It's like they have to follow the rules of the mortal laws. So they can't just like jump off a building and fly. They can't just throw a thunderbolt. But in the astral realm they can, and they do it effortlessly sometimes, depending on um, how well they train and focus and get their energies to be that high. And normal humans could do things like that with the guidance of a god, you know? They could learn how to fly, they could learn how to emit energy, they could learn how to create weapons out of thin air, or like create earthquakes, etc. They learn how to manifest these energies, and some people have gifts for it, some don't. They're all unique, they all have different zodiac signs, they're all born at different times and hours and days of the year. You have all these different energies. So, me, I was born on a Saturday, so that means a lot of my energies are Saturnian. That means I like destruction. Um, but I also like control. And then I was born as a Gemini, and Geminis are ruled by Venus. Astrologically, yes, Mercury, but they are born from Venus. So they have a lot of love energy and just air. They exude air. And then I was born at like 2:57. So I was born 5:27 at 2:57. So that's pretty intense. Like those are really good ways to see like how um, what's it's like a good word for like astrology. I forgot what it's called, but it's not omnious. It's the opposite of that. It's a fortunate way to see like what are like examples or really good things. Like the number 27 is the number of the demons in the red dragon, and then the number 72 is the number of the demons in the Ars Goetia. So that lets you know that like I have top tier energy with those spirits. And then if I was born at 2:57, that's around the hour of Mars and Jupiter. I think it is under Jupiter. So that's probably where you get my Pisces moon. Because originally, um, Jupiter rules over Pisces exclusively, but it's in the domain of the West. So Jupiter and the moon are basically the same thing. So it's kind of seen as that energy in the West, and it's water. So Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Um, and I have Pisces moon. So that's kind of makes sense, you know? Um, I really love water. I love calming things. I love nature. I love beauty. Those things calm me. Education. Um, and then that Saturn energy pulls, you know. And then I was like kind of going into Mars, so I really love destruction and power. All right, so we got a little bit of ideas of like how the world kind of configures a person's birth. So you have these four champions, which are like what the gods' energies go through the most. So you're not gonna see like if one of these were to die, maybe it will completely destroy the whole game. But well, no, actually, like if these were to die, I don't know what would happen. And I think for Aphrodite, Aphrodite's like, I wonder what would happen if Ares, which is Apollo and Ares put together, what would happen to him if he died? What would happen to Hermes if he died? What would happen to Artemis? Because Artemis is going to be Jupiter, which is Zeus, and Luna, Artemis put together. So what would happen to Artemis if he died? Like, would anything crazy happen? Am I supposed to be with them? Like, what? It's almost like a magical experiment, but with real life consequences. So Aphrodite has to be like, "Are you sure you're gonna do this?" But Aphrodite's like, "Yeah, I have to because I want to control the earth, and I'm the villain, and I want to be the villain. I don't want to change from that." So let's go into some villains in what would you call that? Like what we have today. We have a villain called Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers, and she's seen as that Aphrodite figure because she has a Scorpio wand because it's a moon, but it has Aries on it, and then she has this green Power Ranger coin, so that's representative of Venus because Venus is green. So you see her using magic to like make monsters grow. You see her um, using like thunder and flying through the sky. And her name is in Japanese. Her name is Bandora, which is Pandora. So Pandora created. I mean, Aphrodite created Pandora. Aphrodite gave it life. Um, if you look at a lot of mythologies, you see that Aphrodite is like the main component to a lot of the stories. She gives it that the story. So in a sense, you can see that Aphrodite is the ruler. Aphrodite is like the god because when Jesus describes himself, he says, "I'm the morning star." When Lucifer describes himself, he says, "I'm the morning star." When Venus is described, it's the morning star. It's when the sun is rising. That's the morning star. So it's basically saying like, I'm what you live for. I'm what creates you and what gives you a new day. I'm your god. And these other the humans and the other gods, well, just the humans basically are like, we don't want Aphrodite to keep winning because if Aphrodite keeps winning, or if Aphrodite is our god, then we lose because Aphrodite wants our destruction. Aphrodite doesn't want us to live because Aphrodite is very jealous. Aphrodite is very angry, just like Yahweh. Um, Aphrodite doesn't want us to worship anyone else but him. And if we don't worship him, then he'll destroy us. But if we can destroy him before he destroys us, if we could pretend he doesn't exist, if we could keep manipulating the system and like becoming stronger than him and live like gods and keep him as a mortal, then you can defeat him. We can defeat Aphrodite. We don't have to listen to him. So that's kind of where the story's going. The humans are like, no, we don't want Aphrodite to win. So Aphrodite becomes the demon lord and is like, oh, you want to see like that you think that there's a different god, you think that there's a different devil, like no, we're the same thing, I'm all of that and more, like I'm the one single form of both energies, heaven and hell, and I'm going to destroy you. So then you don't have this hope, you don't have hope that you can, that there's an afterlife for you, and your afterlife, if there is an afterlife, it's of eternal torment and pain because Aphrodite's not going to forgive you. And then they're like, well, then are you Jesus or the Antichrist? And then Aphrodite's like, I'm both. And then they get even more scared because they're like, well, what's right? What's wrong? Who are you to tell us? Like, even if you are the Antichrist and the Messiah, like, you're still nobody. Like, you can't prove it. You can't win. You can't defeat us. So that's where Aphrodite's like, all right, my character. I'm like, all right, I have to destroy these other gods to prove to them that there's only one God. And that's cool because in the Bible, God is like, I love a challenge. Like, come on, let's go. Like, I love to prove myself. And once I prove myself, then there's not going to be no questions, right? But he's been doing that time and time again, and he doesn't get his results. But this is the part of the story where you have the past where he's like, I proved myself over and over again. I have this future where, like, I give you a promise of what a beautiful world it looks like. And then we have the present where you're not going to get this future and you're not going to get this past. You're only going to get this present where you get destroyed and suffer for all eternity. So basically, God is just reclaiming the present. Like, if God had a human form on earth, this is who I would be, right? So then you have, what would you do? Do you worship me or do you go against me? So if you worship me, then I would know because my life wouldn't suck. But it sucks, so that means you don't worship me. So that means I have to destroy you and send you to hell. So the humans are like, well, there's no turning back now. We can't go and worship him because we like following Hermes because Hermes gives us everything. Hermes gives us movies. Hermes gives us actors, entertainment, value to our lives. He gives us material wealth. He gives us credit card debt. He gives us everything we could imagine. And they're like, we're gonna keep worshiping Hermes. And then they're like, well, we got Ares too. He can protect us. He can keep us safe. Ares is the god of the military, the god of like all these forces. And they're like, well, we have Ares, we have music, we have life, we have all of this sun energy. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, we don't need you, Aphrodite. Like, we don't need to worship you, demon lord. Like, you're evil. We don't need to worship you. And then you have Artemis and Jupiter, which is the same. So we're gonna just say Artemis, and they're gonna be like, well, we have Artemis. He protects us. He keeps our laws. He keeps us safe. He gives us money. He gives us hope and dreams, and makes us feel good, and lets us know that there's a future. But you, Aphrodite, don't want us to have a future. You want to destroy us. And Aphrodite's like, yep, I do want to destroy you. So they're like, and Aphrodite's proud, so Aphrodite's not really gonna hide that fact either. Aphrodite's gonna be like, yeah, I want to destroy the human race. So what do you do? Like, if you were a human in these different stories, like Aphrodite doesn't have followers, but Aphrodite still has a mortal form, so Aphrodite still has family members. Aphrodite still has to deal with friends. Aphrodite still has to deal with, you know, getting a job and doing all these normal human things. And these guys are all good because this guy's a celebrity. He's an actor, so he doesn't have to do a normal job like that. This guy's a singer, so he doesn't have to do a normal job like that. This guy is a politician, so but he has money from generational wealth. So Artemis has all that money. Ares, Mars has, followers and fans and credentials and music and royalties and money and things like that. And then you have Hermes up here with his money from all the movies that he makes. So yeah, they're working, but they're doing things that are, that are empowering, things that can keep going, things that are substantial. And then Aphrodite's over here like struggling to survive. And it's like perfect. Like that's like the greatest humiliation ritual ever because these guys are in power. They're saying that they love Aphrodite, but their actions are not the actions are not speaking. They're not louder than what okay, their words are not louder than their actions. So they could be like, "Oh, I love Aphrodite," but in reality they're just using Aphrodite. Um just for like inspiration, ideas, what's next in the story because Aphrodite's the script writer. Aphrodite writes all the stories, Aphrodite inspires everybody, like everybody even if they try to escape Aphrodite, they're still copying Aphrodite because Aphrodite's air. You can't escape air. Like you breathe everywhere you go, and if you don't, then you die. So like, they're like, we love Aphrodite so much, but we can't worship her because if we do, then and we admit that she's greater than us, and we give her all our power, then she's gonna win and she's gonna destroy it. So it's like, would you root for somebody to destroy you? Like in reality, people don't vote for a lot of presidents because they don't want to get destroyed by them, but then everybody votes for them to destroy them. Like it's just crazy. But maybe it makes a little bit of sense, right? So they're like, well, we'd rather be followers than be under the domain of Venus, Aphrodite, because Aphrodite challenges us to be heroes and warriors, and we don't want to be that. We don't want to be great. We want this like fake warriorship. Like we want everybody to worship us as warriors, but like because we have that look, because we have that money, we have that power, that wealth, but they don't understand like a true warrior is somebody that sacrifices their life to make the world better, to help others, to save other people, to like prove a point. They like go to Valhalla. And then you have these people that are like politicians and musicians and artists and uh, actors, and they're just not really sacrificing themselves. They're empowering themselves, but they're not sacrificing themselves. They're not real warriors. But they're really good at portraying one because that's what these gods do for them. And they can just keep manipulating and recycling. They basically launder the love from Venus. They're like, well, we can just recycle a story over and over again. And Venus is like, okay, well, you know what? I don't think so. Venus is like, no, I want to fight back. So Venus is like, I'm gonna give you everything you want. I'm gonna give you all that power, Ares. I'm gonna give you all that power, Hermes. I'm gonna give you everything you want, Artemis, and that goes for all your followers in each domain. And Aphrodite's gonna empower them and give them all their magic, all their energy, whatever they wish for, their money, their wealth, their fame, their glory, whatever they could imagine, the love that they look for, whatever that it is that they're hoping for. Aphrodite's going to give them that because Aphrodite's going to build them up like a tower or a giant statue and knock them down, boom, and crumble. But also in the story, like in Revelations, you have a part where everybody goes up to God and they're like, well, who can judge me now? Only God can judge me. Everybody always says that. And Aphrodite's like, well, if I judge you and I send you to hell, and that makes me God, right? So Aphrodite's kind of like, well, what do I have to do to prove it to you humans? So Aphrodite starts this championship, an Illuminati championship, where he gets everybody to battle each other and to prove like who's the king of the mountain, who's the god then, who's God, basically. And Aphrodite's like, I know I'm God, so I'm gonna go for that championship and I'm gonna win. And everybody's like, no, you're not gonna win. That's impossible because you're just a human. You're immortal. You're a liar. You're delusional. You have a god complex. We don't believe you. We know who God is because we pray to Him every day, and it's not here. But there's two parts of a human soul, the Ba and the Ka. So the Ba is like, okay, we're gonna keep lying. The Ka is like, no, Aphrodite is God, David is God, he's the demon lord, he owns everything. But their Ba is like, no, if we admit that, then we are gonna lose because if we empower him and let Aphrodite know that he's the winner, then we're gonna lose everything because we know that he wants to destroy us. So there's this like struggle between the Ba and the Ka. You're two little angels on your shoulder that tell you what to do. So now we got this idea of like how the game mechanics work. We have an idea of how the people are thinking, how all the champions are working, and I think what we could go into is like, all right, so Ares is like, dang, I have all these followers. They're kind of crazy. They really like, they're posters, but like, I have to say that I like them. I have to like say that I like what they do with their lives. I have to like put on a fake smile to make them like keep worshiping me. So right now he's kind of hiding. He's like, I'm not gonna show my face as much. I'm not gonna let people know what I'm doing with my life anymore. I'm not gonna do all that. I'm not gonna perform as much. But that's his money. That's his income. So like, how is he gonna take care of himself? How is he gonna keep? Once you're once you're a god, you have to keep being a god. You can't just stop being a god. So there's only going to be four gods. So they have to be Illuminati championships, Illuminati rulers. So basically, we have one that's a Cancer and he's in the monarchy. We have one that's Aries, he's a singer. We have one that's Taurus and he's an actor. And then we have the demon lord, which is me, and that's Aphrodite. And these people get picked by the Illuminati. So the Illuminati is the collective conscious, the whole world. And the whole world chooses these champions. But they're like, well, who's the weakest of the gods? We'll put King David there because why would I even fit into that category? I feel like it's like a self-proclaimed thing. So if it's a self-proclaimed thing, then they could be like, well, anybody's Aphrodite. Anything could be Aphrodite. You're not it. So my character has to be like, I'm Aphrodite. I'm King David. I'm God. I have to rule the world. I'm the Antichrist. What's up? So my character has to prove that. And then Ares is like confused because he's like, I love this character, but I don't know how to prove it. I don't know how to say it. And maybe I don't. And then there's that past present realm idea. So it's like he could be like, I don't even know who that person is. That person's crazy and delusional. And that's why my character's like, I don't want this love relationship because that's fake, right? And that makes the game go slower because then there's like, oh snap, this again, like I'm trying to go past the love and I'm trying to go straight to your Ka, which is your that's part of your soul that's very important. That part connects your body and the rest of your spirit together. That's the part that goes to heaven or hell. So if my character is going after those energies and destroying them, then it's destroying the whole collective conscious of that domain. So if Aphrodite's going after Ares and hurts Ares' Ka, it's destroying all his followers because all his followers rely on his Ka to be able to live. Um, so it's like kind of saying like, if you had a god, Yahweh or Jesus, whatever, and the devil killed him, hypothetically, because you wouldn't believe that, but if he did, then where would your soul go, right? Or if everybody's like, well, my soul belongs to God, and that's it, that's period. So then my character's like, all right, how do I prove that it belongs to me? So my character's like, all right, I'll destroy their cause, and if you guys get dwindled down to nothing, then that means my energies are ruling over yours. So it's like a game of like looking past religion. It's a game that looks past like emotional ties, and it goes straight for the heart. So it's like, or it goes straight to like the weak points of the human. So that would be the Ka, the part of them that they need to take care of, that they don't want to get exposed, that could destroy them. So, but it's so heavily defended because all these people are manifesting a defense, a prayer, an oration. They're venerating these gods and their own energies to protect them, to live like a normal life and not get damaged by Aphrodite. But when Aphrodite does attack them and it starts getting results, they double down and make it harder for Aphrodite to make money or conquer places, but Aphrodite will still win, so they get kind of nervous and they start shutting down and they start like closing doors and they just make it harder for Aphrodite to win. And Aphrodite, like my character, he's like, no, I like things to be really fun and exciting. So he's doing this new strategy tactic where he is, while he's destroying their calm, he's empowering their Ba. So while he's destroying the part of them that is like tethered to this world, he's giving them everything they want in the world at the same time. So he's like, here, the food you wanted, here, the car you wanted, the family you wanted, the love you wanted, the adoration you wanted, building them all up to like really, really get strong to the point. But also, there's like a two-edged energy. So they're getting everything they want, but that's sacrificing a lot of energy down here. So like a lot of the little people that worship them or work together, whoever's their battery, they're getting destroyed. So let's kind of explain the battery part. All right, so let's say there's a community, a city, and there's a football player, there's a cheerleader, and then there's like a dad, a mom, and then a mayor. And the football player, he's getting all this energy, but he looks up to the cheerleader, and but that cheerleader looks up to the mom, and then that mom looks up to the mayor, and the mayor looks up to the dad. It might be this weird zigzag energy, but there's like a reason to it, you know? Maybe the mayor and the dad were friends when they were little. So it just goes to show you that there's like some connection, some web somewhere along this tapestry of worship. So while he's just Aphrodite's destroying the Ka, empowering the boss so they can like all get everything they want. They're more important players. Whoever is the weakest gets kind of snapped out of the game. Sometimes even the strong ones get snapped out. It all depends how Aphrodite's fighting through the astral realm. Sometimes Aphrodite gets the opportunity to destroy the big ones, the small ones, make them turn against each other. But no matter what happens, as long as the game is playing, more of the there's no stopping it. It's like a snowball effect that you cannot quit. You can't stop. It's gonna keep happening. It's just gonna keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. There's no way that it stops. So basically, they're essentially doomed. So she has to make it kind of entertaining for herself while they're all getting destroyed, right? And she has to make it easy too, because for herself. But if she makes it difficult for everybody and they make it difficult for her, then it's just going to slow her down and she's not going to get the results that he wants, okay? So then Aphrodite's destroying all these other archons, all these other gods, and winning, and wants them to win too, to think that they are winning, to feel like they're winning, to live a good life. He ends up becoming the king. He ends up becoming winning Golden Emmy Awards. He gets more jobs and starts getting more movies and rolling and like more importance. He starts getting more music. All his followers get more music. All his followers become more famous. There's more actors. There's more politicians. There's more people in the world. Like all these things start blossoming, but they don't see all the destruction. And sometimes, actually, you know what? I think they do see the destruction, but they have to keep going. And the destruction is like just proof that Aphrodite's winning. So while Aphrodite's winning, getting all the glory, all the accolades, but still Aphrodite has to work towards getting like that absolute worship. Um, and that's part of the game. And there's like different mechanics that go into Aphrodite winning. I definitely want Aphrodite to use tactics from the Revelations because you know everybody gets marked by the beast. You get that 666. You get everyone needs that to be able to buy and trade and sell. For me, I think of it as the 3 stars of David because they have 6 points, so it's like 666, past, present, future, and it's kind of this idea that it's not a literal like Aphrodite needs to mark you. It's the fact that Aphrodite knows the truth now. Aphrodite knows the past, the present, and the future. Aphrodite knows that you're doing everything you can so that I can't win. I know that you're doing everything you can to not let me win so you can stay alive in the present, and I know that even the future is manipulating the current events so that way I don't win. So I think that's kind of what that means. But and where it's like, oh, can't sell, buy, or trade, I would kind of think of it as like, all right, Aphrodite is making the game where you get everything you want now because Aphrodite knows the truth. You're all marked. You're all going to hell, basically. And then, um, so there's like no ifs and or buts. I know who's gonna win, who's gonna lose. And then you have the image of the beast. Um, I kind of like the idea of that being technology, and it says in Revelations that the humans build the image of the beast, and it forces them to worship Aphrodite or the Antichrist. And then we could see that if Aphrodite is empowering these humans to get stronger, to get better, more technology, more military power, more different funds, everybody's educated, they're going to be able to build up their own weapon of destruction. So there's probably going to be like some kind of robot or some kind of like device or weapons and things that get created that are going to betray the humans and destroy them, kind of like Terminator or the Matrix. Okay, so Aphrodite's influencing them to get what he wants. I'm influencing them to get what I want, empowering them so I can build, like, make them build me a beautiful weapon that'll control them. And after that, then it's game over, basically, right? So the humans have no choice but to let it happen because they're gonna love the story. They're gonna be like, I love to use technology and it's gonna get created. I love robots, it's gonna get created, and they're not gonna be able to stop it. So that's part of the story, and I think that is like a really genius mechanic. Um, and the best part is Aphrodite has a deal where it's like, well, if I die and lose, then you guys all win, right? Because then that means I'm not really God. That means I'm not really all powerful. That means I don't have any viability. And then he becomes the king and he's happy. He moves on. He becomes the celebrity that he wants to be, etc. They move on. But, um, yeah, so Aphrodite's like, yeah, that door is wide open. Like, that door's unlocked. That door's open. You can destroy me anytime you want. Like, that's the best part. You can hurt me, but I'm gonna fight back with my magic. And people are more afraid of that fact than they are of the mortal part of Aphrodite. And the weird part is there probably will be moments where they try to harm Aphrodite, but they'll get worse damage because obviously my character's a witch. So like, you do something to a witch, you're gonna get destroyed because witches are powerful. So if you try to harm one, like, can you imagine what's gonna happen to you? They harm people every day. So my character's like, I got magic, like, let's go, like, let's see what happens. Like, I love to test my abilities and I want to see if I win or lose. So that's another condition. Like, the higher you put your conditions, the more rewards you get. Like, so the more money you put into the casino, the bigger payout you're gonna get. But if you mess up, something goes wrong, you lose everything. And that's what my character's betting on. Like, here you go. Let's go. Like, come on, Illuminati, you guys are so powerful, destroy me. So everybody's like, do I really want to follow somebody that's that risky? But it's also like, I'm betting on myself. I know what I got, I know what I'm worth, and I know what I can do. I know how things are going to play out. I'm an expert. Let's go. And so we got all these other gods like, oh snaps, we're going up against, a kamikaze unit. But like, remember, like, there can't be any hostility. Like, there can't be any like, Aphrodite can't attack them. They know Aphrodite has no power and no money, nothing to be able to hurt them. So there's not that fear because that's annoying. That's like, you could put Aphrodite in jail. You could put Aphrodite in a psych ward. So Aphrodite has to be like, no, you're not gonna put me in a psych ward. You're not gonna put me in a jail. You're not gonna stop me from using magic. You're not gonna stop me from, influencing the world and getting on top. But also, Ares, I don't know. If we still think that Ares loves her or Aphrodite, then is it a lie? Is it the truth? What is it? But that's not important in the story, right? Because that's just always the illusion that kind of stops. But Aphrodite's created his own spells to be able to break through those illusions and still hit the Ka, which is the deep, dark part of your soul that ties you together. So yeah, that's where I'm going with the story, kind of giving Aphrodite that like Power Ranger villain energy. Because you know how the villains of Power Rangers, they're like, I want to rule the world. I'm gonna destroy the humans on the earth. I'm gonna use every monster and my abilities. I'm gonna like trick the Power Rangers. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get there. And they don't stop. They do it day after day, night after night, and they keep fighting to the end. Even if they lose, they keep fighting, and then they keep going and going and going and going. They never quit. They're like really super villains, and that's what I want to do for Aphrodite. But I want Aphrodite to win, and I don't want Aphrodite to lose. I want Aphrodite to win no matter what. Like Aphrodite self-sacrificed so many times in their lives growing up that I feel like no, like now it's time to start winning. Now that I'm the master at losing, I'm I'm gonna prove that I'm the master at winning. So yeah, you got this really cool duality. You got all these mechanics. You got these ideas. You have all these characters. You have this plot. You have this theme. You have like a deeper meaning to everything. You kind of have an idea of where the story's going. Um, then there's the Monopoly part. So in the board game, I have four different sectors. You have the north, east, south, west. The east is going to be air domain, obviously. So this is where Venus is ruling. The south is Mars, so you got the sun and Mars, so that's all the heat comes through. And then you have the west, which is going to be the moon and Jupiter. So right here is the water, and then you have the north where the earth rules over, and you get all that earth energy. Um, and on the board game, you're gonna be like you roll the dice. You might end up here, you might end up there. On the way I have it planned out is the Los Angeles mountain is Saturn, so it's in the middle. And then you have Lancaster, Palmdale, Lake Los Angeles, Victorville, San Bernardino, Santa Fe Springs, LA, San Fernando, Pacoima, Santa Clarita, Lake Elizabeth, and back to Lancaster and Palmdale. So you have them all on the map, and you're just moving around the map. And let's say you want to control more of the music industry, you're going to be focused on these areas and empowering them. And then you're going to also be pulling through. So, like, here's a little bit of tidbit lore. In Lancaster and Palmdale, we have a lot of movie sets that are like accessible. So there's like a road where they do a lot of music videos in like Los Angeles, and it's like everybody makes their music videos there. There's like a little diner and another road, and they just have a lot of property there that they make movies. So that just gives you an idea, like, hey, like they are tapping into that energy. Um, yeah. So let's see. It's like a Monopoly game, I guess you could say. So if Aphrodite has to monopolize these areas, Aphrodite might, because I haven't really had my character go in here and start monopolizing things, but Aphrodite's gonna have to start maybe astral projecting like her energies to be able to purchase this, to buy that, to take over this, to destroy this, to destroy that. So I guess while Aphrodite's like battling through the astral realm, it's like doing certain things to those areas, and I feel like that part is kind of weird because I have to like somehow have like a diagram or something to physically show it. I have like a map and I have the board, but I need like my character to be interacting there. Like when I do astral projections, it's not too difficult to imagine myself somewhere, but maybe I can start visiting places that I really enjoy and like notice like ley lines and be able to instill magic in there and then pull it through and weave it into somewhere else. So maybe I can go to one place and then find like another place where there's a lot of magic and tie those areas together, pull it through, and when I'm astral projecting, I can use these as like stages or arenas, and it affects that whole area and does more damage to the human race because that's Aphrodite's main goal is to destroy these other champions and their followers. And then since Aphrodite doesn't have any followers, Aphrodite doesn't have to worry about collateral damage. But the thing is, that's kind of what gives authority to Aphrodite is because how is Aphrodite winning and still fighting if Aphrodite doesn't have any followers? Ares has a ton of followers, but he needs them and they need him. And they all and when they use their magic and their energies, they're all working together to keep winning. But Aphrodite doesn't have anything. So how is Aphrodite even still in the game? How can Aphrodite make these rules? How can Aphrodite do these things? To a normal human, it would be just like, no, no, it's not happening. It's not real. But to Aphrodite, knows the game. So Aphrodite's like, I know what's going on. A normal human will call that psychosis, or a therapist, or a professional. Okay. And that's where like Aphrodite's like, I'm not gonna let doubt stop me. I know what I want in life. I know how I'm gonna get there. I know how the game works. I have experience. I know who I am. So you're not gonna see Aphrodite really question, but they're gonna definitely make questions. So they're gonna definitely like be like, oh, Aphrodite, you don't have that power. You can't do any of those things. And Aphrodite's like, yeah, I can. I could do anything that these gods do, but 10 times better because they take their energy from me. And I don't need to take energy from them. I don't need to take energy from you. I could just win. But the way the world is set up, Aphrodite does rely on them. So Aphrodite has to listen to Ares' music, whether he likes it or not. And that's because Aphrodite genuinely likes Ares' music. But also, Aphrodite knows that that music is belongs to her, belongs to him because Ares wrote that music because of Aphrodite. Hermes performed because of Aphrodite. Artemis became is 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 still in the Monarch game because of Aphrodite. Because of Aphrodite's inspiration and love in the world keeps them alive, in a sense. So while Aphrodite has decided to destroy them, whatever, before that wasn't the case. Aphrodite never just wanted to destroy them, but now Aphrodite has to prove it. So you have all these like questions, these doubts, these like, Aphrodite has all the answers, but everyone doesn't want to admit it, or they want to like make it harder for Aphrodite. So you can see like now you can see like how the humans are making it harder for Aphrodite to win. And for me, I have to take the game serious because it's like, all right, whatever it is that this character's doing, it has to be true. Whatever this character's doing, it has to be true. Whatever these characters are doing, it has to be true. But in a human context, in a mortal realm and realistic ideas, there's always questions to why things are the way they are, whether they're valid or not, and how. What I've noticed that with humanity, they love to grab onto something and pull it down and be like, no, that's not what it's there for. So like, if I told you Aphrodite is the goddess of fire, you would be like, no, that's not true, and you would pull it down all the way to the ground. So you're like, no, it's not true. But Aphrodite will, and my character will be like, it is true, and prove it. So there's that kind of duality. Um, yeah, but I think it's fun. I think it'll be interesting to see how my character can prove itself. I think it's fun to see what the other characters are doing because they're going to be influenced by everyone else like you. And you're going to be able to see like the progression of the characters and where they go. And I'm hoping the game ends as quickly as possible, but I mean, I would say it started already, like maybe like it's already been a year at most. But I feel like now it's kind of hitting like a climax almost. So it's like, is it going to be a season two or is this the final season? And for Aphrodite, it's like I want it to be the final season. And for everybody else, it's like, no, I want the game to keep going. I want there to be another one. I want there to be more. I want there to be spin-offs and all. And Aphrodite's like, no, 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 no. We're not remaking the story. I'm gonna destroy you humans before that even happens. And yeah, maybe the humans might make it happen, or they make another story, make another movie, make another music film, make. And Aphrodite's gonna let it happen and let it happen and let it happen until Aphrodite destroys them all. So we're gonna go on this journey with Aphrodite to see how does Aphrodite win, how does he make it in this world, how does he prove himself, what are the struggles that he goes through, and what is it that he's proving, and how is the game gonna end, how is the world gonna end, how's the story gonna end. So we get this narration, this progress, and we're gonna have to maybe like study a little bit more on writing and like how to do chapters and how to like open up different books and get different ideas and like get over writer's block and things like that. So now we have like an idea of how this whole game's gonna work. We can add more to it. We can like debate it more, discuss it more, get more into ideas and like how things work and like the mechanics of everything and just like fine tune it until it becomes really efficient and easy to explain that you could just explain off the top of your head. Because I've been seeing people that explain things and they're so good at it. Like this one guy, he was like talking about his job helping people that are like going through substance abuse, and the way he described it was like he's been doing this his whole life. And I'm like, wow, like that's impressive. Like I could talk like that about astrology, I could talk like that about Pokemon, I could talk like that about Digimon, but I want to do that for my game. And I want people to be able to pick up off that and become experts on their own way so that they can make a decision like who do they want to associate with in the game, who do they want to be in the game, how do they want to play, and then even if they're doing good on somewhere else, that's inspiring. That's gonna let me know like, wow, mate, like Aries really is doing his thing, but like there has to be a definitive point in the game where it ends, you know? So we kind of go on this journey like, is Aphrodite going to end up with Ares? Is Aphrodite going to end up Hermes? Is Aphrodite going to end up with Artemis? Or is Aphrodite going to destroy all three gods? And the main point Aphrodite has already said is destroying the other three gods to become the champion of Olympus, Saturn, and rule the earth without anybody's help, without anybody's authority, with Aphrodite being supreme. But Aphrodite's not opposed to like variables in the story to like, well, what happened? What happened? But basically, Aphrodite's berserk AF. So Aphrodite's like whoosh, going in through, no relentlessness, but at the same time giving them everything they want and just like completely destroying them at the same time. So while the humans get everything they want, they get destroyed. They get, but they it's kind of like when you make a genie with a wish with a genie. The genie gives you everything, but then he finds a way to make you fall. He finds a way to make you lose all of that, but your life obviously, like the leprechaun. Like he gives you a pot of gold, but he puts it in your stomach. He gives you the body you want, but it destroys you. That's kind of how Aphrodite's working. And let's remember, leprechauns and genies are definitely in the air domain. Leprechauns are seen as fairies, but they're also seen as earth spirits, and Venus is really close to earth and air. Aphrodite's really close to fire and air, but Aphrodite's right across from water, so that's why there's like that strange energy. But we don't forget that Cancer is right next to Gemini over here, and Cancer's over here in the west. So once you learn a little bit about astrology and the Key of Solomon, you can kind of see how the game kind of works, and that there's a, you know, there's some obstacles that Venus has to find, because at the end of the day, Venus is the sun. So Venus is flying through all of this just to get right here in the west, which is water. So that just gives you an idea that that Venus has that power, and then it's come back all the way around to the top. So going all the way back up north and back out. All right, so that's the story. Illuminati broadcast. David Moore, what's up? Leave a comment. Explain different things that are going on with your life. Add to the story. Make your own world. Have fun. Just explore realities. All right, have a great day. Bye.